Awesome. And then, so the other questions I really wanted to kind of dive into and just get your advice and feedback on is kind of general application process related to the LSAT mostly. So my top goal is to go to Georgetown. So I'm working my butt off to get my LSAT score up. My goal is a 170 or higher, ideally. So a few questions around that. One is, and I know there's no right or wrong answer necessarily, so just more of your advice. Do you believe if I don't hit 170, but let's just say I'm in the 165-ish range, maybe a little bit higher, would you believe, I'm gonna have to give you some background for this question actually. I've been out of undergrad for 13 years or whatever that is. I had a not very good GPA in undergrad, pretty poor, but I passed, so that's great. I'm not concerned about the addendums and all that stuff because I was working full-time the entire time of undergrad. I was at Starbucks, so I was promoted from barista to shift supervisor to assistant manager to store manager within those 4 years of undergrad. So I feel good with, writing that addendum and kind of piecing that together as not as an excuse, but as a understanding, as a window into what was going on in my life during that time. But with that, my career has been pretty massive in comparison to probably most of the competition, to where after I left Starbucks as a store manager, I opened up my own cheesecake company. So as a business owner with my family, moved on from there, became chief operating officer for a data company. So a lot of analytical stuff in there. And then moved on to a VP of operations type role. So I have high titles and things that I feel will be pretty good at showing my story and my abilities and everything that counteracts that undergrad GPA in a sense. But I know and believe that the only thing that will make a difference is my LSAT score for sure. So just wanted to give you that background before I ask this question. So if I got, 165, 167 or something like that, I plan to apply early decision to Georgetown. Would you suggest potentially applying with that 165 with that early decision? Or do you think it may be more beneficial just for the admissions piece, not scholarships at this time, to take another 2 months study and take the January one?
Great question. And first, I just want to say that your work experience is super impressive. They're going to love that.
Thank you.
A lot of folks will occasionally be like, they're like worried that being a cashier, being a barista, or something that may be perceived as just like a service position may not be as impressive. But on the contrary, it's actually super impressive because it shows dedication, dealing with difficult customers, dealing with difficult work environment, high stress, and you progressed and grew. You moved up the rungs of the ladder significantly. They're going to love that. And that definitely will outweigh a low GPA to a large extent.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. That. No, of course it's true. And I would definitely recommend highlighting that in some regard, either rec letter, personal statement, or potentially both.
Okay. Awesome.
Work it in somewhere for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of getting into a question I have very shortly. But
to finish this one, finish this one. I generally don't love the idea of applying early decision because of scholarship money. You lose any scholarship negotiation leverage. Schools aren't going to be as likely to want to give it because they don't need to. So if that's not important to you, then yes, you could get admissions boost by applying early decision. To what extent? That's going to vary from school to school, cycle by cycle. To some extent, it could be a black box. There are websites like Law School Data that include user submitted information that could be useful to get a sense of what typically happens or what has been happening. But even this cycle, especially every cycle is different, and especially this cycle with COVID, really throwing everything for a loop, it's impossible to say how much this cycle relates to last cycle. A lot of things are not comparable.
Definitely.
Generally, I tend to lean towards retaking, and getting even a few points more makes a huge difference.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to like November versus January.
Right.
So I might recommend applying in January instead with a higher score if you didn't get what you wanted for November.
Okay.
I would also look up on sites like LSAC has an official guide.lsac.org. You can input your GPA with different LSAT scores, and it'll show you how you stack up against admitted students or matriculating students from previous cycles.
Yes.
Of course, every cycle is different, but it's a rough ballpark, and that would not include the work experience. So important to take it with a grain of salt. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.